Hey YouTube, this is Uncertain Prime coming to you with a quick review of the Leatherman Skeletool CX. There's already quite a few reviews of this particular multi-tool out there, but I wanted to cover why I chose to use it and make it part of my EDC. So what are the reasons? First of all, I wanted a multi-tool. I didn't want just a blade. Now there's nothing wrong with just carrying a blade. I have quite a few friends who have some pretty impressive blades that they carry on them, but for me, I like to have a little more utility than just a knife. But at the same time, I wanted a good knife, and there's very few multi-tools out there that really go way out of their way to include an excellent blade. And in my opinion, the Skeletool CX has that. So let's go over this this little beauty. First of all, like I first said, this is the CX, not the regular Skeletool. There's going to be a lot of people go back and forth as to whether or not the CX is worth the extra price point. It's really not that much more. It's like maybe $10 or $15. There's only, I would say, 3 reasons to pick the CX over the original Skeletool. 1, the blade. Higher quality blade. You'll see right there 154 cm, so good quality blade. That's reason 1. Reason 2, no partial serrated blade. The regular Skeletool has serrations down right here. You'll see here that the CX version is just a standard blade, so that's, for me, that was a good thing. And then finally, it's got black. Now, because this is my EDC and I carry it in my pocket all the time, it's interesting how this more industrial look doesn't get quite as many disapproving glances from people when you whip out a blade. For just, I don't know why. I don't know why. For some reason, that total silver Skeletool, my son has one actually. More people notice when he pulls that out. This one is almost like a style statement. And because I work in a business, an office area, I wanted to have something that blended a little bit. So those are the 3 reasons that you should get the CX instead of just the regular Skeletool. Now, if you listen to Leatherman, they'll say get this one because, oh, it's made with carbon, and that's much lighter than the CX. Than the Skeletool. That's simply not true. There's virtually no difference in weight between the CX and the original model. You can actually see, if I open it up, might even be more obvious. You can see the carbon insert right in here. That is it. There's nothing else on this multi-tool made of that carbon. So it's kind of ridiculous to use that as a selling point. Would have been kind of neat if they made more of this with carbon, but I don't really see how they could have. All right, so those are the reasons or the differences between the CX and the regular Skeletool. Let's just really quickly go over the tools on this. Again, like I said, a lot of reviews out there, so I don't think it's necessary to go super in depth. First of all, bottle opener. Great bottle opener. I also have the Style CS, which has a very similar design to this, including the bottle opener. But because this one is wider, it does a much better job of popping off caps of beer or whatever. Really great. And the carabiner. You may not want to use that. I don't use it at all. I actually use the belt clip because I carry this in my back pocket. No reason to have the carabiner, but you know, it's nice to have options. We already went over the blade, but I will just quickly say, great flippin' blade. This sucker has come in so handy over and over and over. Razor sharp. Really fantastic. I'm super glad that I got this multi-tool almost just for the blade. Everything else is kind of a bonus. Let's talk about pliers. Decent pliers, but they are not full size. I know Leatherman says that this is a full-size multi-tool. It's really not. If you compare this to any of the more standard Leatherman, like the Wave or the Charge or the Surge, any of those have much more impressive pliers than these. That's not to say that these can't do a job. They can, but do not expect to use them for heavy-duty use. For EDC use, fantastic. They've worked really great. So I have no serious complaints there. I just think it bears mentioning. So anyhow, yeah, we have the two different sets of pliers here. Wire cutters. If you've seen any of my other reviews, I think I've reviewed the Gerber Dime. I don't really have much to say about wire cutters. I don't generally use them, but as usual, they're there. Now, the only other tool on this multi-tool is the bit driver. Now, different people have different opinions on the bit driver because it's in an awkward position. When you're holding the pliers, this sticks down here, and so when you grab it, it could potentially dig into you. I have a little bit smaller hands, so it doesn't bother me. You'll also notice that I have flathead in here right now. The flathead, I've noticed, I have had a couple of times where this has dug into me a little bit. But if you remove it, and it's got that handy little lever mechanism there, if you remove it, and let's see if I can get this out. For some reason, I always spaz and forget which way to pull it out. There we go. So it has this clever little insert here to hold the extra bit. And if you put that in there, and that's the Phillips, if you put that in there, that little bit of rounding in this position, I do not notice that digging into me at all. So kudos to Leatherman on this. They really did think about the ergonomics. I use this screwdriver a lot more than I thought I would. Not just for basic screwdriver work, but I find that with the Phillips in here, this actually makes a pretty decent, I wouldn't say heavy-duty pry bar, but I have used this to pry open paint cans and things of that nature, and it's done a spectacular job at that. So just with these very simple tools, this has really saved the day for me. Man, I can't even count the number of times I've had it. I want to say, sorry, fiddling a little bit. I want to say I've had this for, I don't know, month, something like that. And just time and time again, this has been so useful. I use the bottle opener every day. I use the knife almost every day. Pliers frequently, screwdriver frequently. Not many tools, but the tools it does have fit my needs just perfectly. So I can't really say enough about the Skeletool CX. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is about $15 more than the standard Skeletool. I already gave the reasons why you might want to get this instead. So for my money, the Skeletool CX has been totally worth it. This is Uncertain Prime, signing off.